Well, that is right, guys. Welcome back to another video. So you've probably seen from the title of the video, there is houses at the moment, I think just over from 370,000 houses to 400,000 houses. Property market is now sat still and nothing is at the moment being moved. Nothing is currently being sold, and the market worth £82 billion in the UK is stopped, which means, does this mean is the UK property market gonna crash? Well, if you're new to this channel, my name is Piers. Please give this channel a subscribe and a like to this video, because I'm about to bring some of the facts that's out in the news, and it will be great if if you live in the UK and you want to know about where the market's heading, where the houses are going to go in the next few months and years. Please watch the full video. Towards the end, I'm actually going to share some of the screenshots of the factual of numbers of what's happening in the market, which is going to really help you understand the current housing market in the UK. Well, let's talk about the last few years. The market at the moment, even if you own a property or you've been following property market in the UK, last few years has been amazing for me. Especially, I've helped people sell loads of houses, big developments as well. I've worked in commercial selling. I've worked personally in buying property myself, selling property as well. So eventually that gives me an understanding of, I've been following property for the last 4 or 5 years and really know working on in the depth of, refurbs and stuff like that as well. So it's quite interesting over, now what is the market happening in 2020? Well, let me give you some of the figures that's currently in the market that's kind of giving you an indication of what is the UK housing market doing. So for example, Zoopla has now announced that they've had 70% less attraction of demand compared to the following months in March 2020. Now that is a lot of difference. Now when it's 70%, I'm sure you would understand that, that it's not only half, it's more than half. And we kind of knew this, that because, people are not being able to go do viewings, estate agents are not opened at the moment. It kind of gives an understanding this would likely to happen. Well, as a result of that, we know that, even letting agent or estate agent will not be getting any more stock to be selling in the market, nor they will be getting any properties to let in the current market. So eventually that the property market in general, also knowing the facts of the economy actually is also down by a certain percentage. Now I think the UK market's currently down by 31%, so a decline of 31%, which means Centre of Economics and Business Research, they're actually saying that there's more likely of chances of house prices being dropped by 13% by the end of 2020. Now, that is a huge number that we're going to talk about it later on the video. Again, we'll go through some of the things that I believe that will still hold it as normal, but this is one of the facts that's come out through the market research that it might go down. And there is a massive debate obviously within the last few years when it went down, and then obviously we've had an amazing rise in the last 10 years from the economy, and eventually the property prices have gone up as well. But quite interestingly, there are some other part of research that's actually saying, yeah, property will sit still, might not move, that the trade might stop, but the property prices are not going to go down. So keep watching this video and I will show you again some of the other facts and figures that will kind of help you, give you an indication of what's happening in the market. Even if you own a property or you invest in properties, I'm sure you've got a question at the moment that you're trying to follow, which is what is going to happen to the market. Now Forbes, Zoopla, Rightmove, News, BBC, everyone's got certain type of article that's come out in the market, which obviously I would highly recommend you go and have a look. Well, we know that every deal has got the buyer's side, which is what they predict, especially in the current market, is to go down on pricing. Now there are questions around, I think I've seen a lot around news that is during this situation, do you go back to the transactions happening currently? Do you actually go back to the vendor and ask for discount on the current property? However, there's the story from a vendor's side to say that there isn't anything happening at the moment in the market. The market is just sat still. So there is a question around, obviously, what is next for the housing market. Knowing that we're going to touch base on what is the the market actually affecting buyer. And we'll certainly talk about mortgages, we'll also talk about employment, and lastly talk about the economy as well. So really, let's go back to the mortgages, where we understand, and there's several news in the market at the moment, I'm sure you guys are following at the moment, is mortgages are actually looking attractive. However, many of those transactions now, especially in the last few weeks, it is in the news that they have completely stopped. Now, the lending value has now gone down to even 60%. So that gives an indication that not everyone can, or especially first-time buyers, they will not be able to put 40% deposit to get 60% loan to value. So those are the kind of surprising thing that a lot of people will look at in future, as not for the current situation, because we are sat still in the current market. But once the market's over and actually we go back to normal, these are still the factors that we're going to consider. Now, also looking at employment, a lot of people at the moment, a lot of businesses currently are sat still. They're not doing any trading. We know that the economy is actually going down. Again, some of the facts that I will share you later on in the video shows that, they are down at least by 30% on the current market. Now, which means it's a direct kind of correlation of people being affected of not having work, which is not going to help people going and actually buying houses, or people who are trying to sell houses, they're not going to have buyers. Eventually, if you look at the we talk about the economy as well, when we know the market is currently sat still, I know there are still markets actually really creating opportunities. The property industry at the moment is sat still, which we know of, but there is other industries that actually is really doing well, and actually not only certain percentage of that companies or industries actually doing well, they actually absolutely grow, looking at the growth and contributing towards the economy as well, which is exactly what we want to see in this current situation. Well, that being said, from a recent research that there is in the market, that the buyers are now really concerned about actually going, and especially if you're a first-time buyer, you're really concerned about going and buying properties, especially because of the house pricing. If they believe that where the market's saying that it's going to go and drop down in prices, that's eventually making them think, or the influence of that is actually giving them thinking, are they straight away going to go into a negative equity if they buy it, or are they going to have those property repossessed? Now, that's the sort of question. Now, on the other hand, the fantastic news is to know that we are currently following all this news and stuff. We do understand the market is sat still, and I've shared much more information earlier. But knowing that we understand there is a certain still in the market, but there is no proofs that the property prices are actually currently going down. Now, what that means is, and there's no even talks about it, it's just people understanding, and we believe that there's influence around economy and mortgages that we've just talked about, or even agents talking about some really big figures that's dropped down over the last few months for them. That's what I'm going to share you later on the video. There is other side of this, the news, where at the moment it will sit still, but it won't go down, which means the market will take time to recover, which effectively by 2021 will be in a lot more better position. Yes, there will be a housing market back into normal. The houses are going to start selling, and the fact that the prices hopefully won't be effective as much, potentially sat still, or even anywhere they've set in the media that 2 to 3% or 2 to 5%, depending on the current situation, going either worse or actually we coming back and recovering as quickly as possible through this pandemic. Well, unlike the deep dark recessions we've had in 2008, this is more short-lived, which means obviously the economy is going to go back to normal very, very soon. There is nothing major happening currently. There are stuff happening, but nothing major that the government or even the news are announcing, which kind of gives us an indication that yes, it is short-lived, which means over 2020, yes, there will be some kind of problems. However, I think that is just short-lived, which means in the next 2021, the market is going to capture, and I believe that. And also, the sellers will only drop down the price because they're forced to sell, you know, due to their circumstances and stuff. So that doesn't indicate that the market has actually gone down. It's really because they've got a choice of actually, you know, they have to sell, and that's probably why they've got discounted on those properties. Knowing that, you know, 2020 property market was really looking booming. I think the figures were actually going up. Jan or Feb, even though there was Brexit going on. Well, if you haven't watched any of my videos, I generally like to do is share some of the facts that is currently in the market that really helps you drive, you know, what's happening in the market. So without further ado, let me just share you my screen. So you can see from my screen that Zoopla release shows demands for new homes dropped by 70% in March 2020, which again kind of says that obviously with the lockdown, nobody's allowed to kind of go and view properties physically. However, later on in this video, I'll show you what's happening, which is helping, you know, still helping current market to understand what's next. Now, the latest analysis suggests by Zoopla and HomeTrack that 373,000 property transactions are currently on pause. That means, you know, they're sitting down. They've either been agreed on sell, but they haven't been completed, and the transactions are worth around £82 billion in UK. So, which means obviously at the moment the market being sat still, that money at the moment is not being exchanged or completed. Now, the other research of Centre of Economics and Business Research, that the house prices in the UK could fall as much as 13% end of 2020 due to a decline of transactions, high uncertainty and decline in incomes, which again we're aware of. Now, I don't think it will be 13%, but they have said as much as, which means that's what they're looking at up to. So I always believe that it's always nice to see from, you know, estate agents in the market. They always are the numbers people. They know what's happening in the system. One of the things they've said is it's a temporary freeze in the property market. So as you can see from my screen, estate agent market says it's only a temporary freeze. They're more likely to go back to normal in August 2020. However, from also a perspective of people actually spending on DIY, which is renovation and stuff for this year, is actually down by 7.9 billion, which says a lot about, you know, people can't actually buy materials and, you know, actually complete work in their properties. So Rightmove also has recorded that there's 40% fall in the numbers of home listed for sales since 26th of March. So not long, we're, you know, a month into it, and there's 40% drop, which means people are pretty much just holding back really, because they just want to make sure the market goes back to normal, or at least the market or the estate agents are back to work. People will put their properties back alive again. So I think there will be a completely, you know, bigger opportunity, bigger numbers of properties going back in the market, which is going to be great. Now, would be a seller, or, you know, the sellers are, again, that's exactly what we've been talking about, you know, would be sellers or people who are going to be sellers. 65,000 nearly new listings were added from 8th of March till 11th of April. Now, they would be people that, you know, prior to those dates, they've been engaging with letting agents or estate agents trying to get their properties live with them. Now, however, within that time period, you can still see that there is, you know, good amount of properties going live. Rightmove has said that the asking price of homes coming onto the market has fallen by 0.2%, which is again not a lot, but you know, current situation is going to drive and influence people to actually make their price a lot attractive, and, you know, to eventually sell that as quickly as possible. Now, however, virtual viewings are happening, and I really believe that this will change the property market, which really is a big thing. Obviously, at the moment, it's just a test and trial. People are only using it. I think the rent market has really picked up on virtual viewings. but selling, there will be still people wanting to, you know the property. But at this moment in time, there's opportunity for buyers to still look at properties and not make fast decisions, but still be able to stay home and actually view the properties that they like. So guys, with all that crazy facts, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you some of the tips that would ideally help you understand if you're a homeowner, or if you're looking to be a homeowner, if you're an property investor. Certain things I'd like you to advise is to go and speak to your financial advisors, your mortgage companies. They are allowing holiday periods at the moment on mortgages, so that will give you a breathing space of, to not overexpose yourself, however still understand there is opportunity in property market, be investing, or even first time buyer. Now shortly I am actually making there is in my channel has been attracting a lot of first time buyers who are willing to understand how to buy their first home. So keep watching my videos, please subscribe if you haven't watched my videos before, and I would love to hear from you. If you can leave your thoughts on the comment box down below. I'm sure you would all say that it has been an incredible year for everyone to kind of think what's next, not only in the housing market, the economy, but you know what, we're all actually sitting here not knowing what's next. However, we have an indication that things are looking better. I'm sure people are staying home, staying safe. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please give this video a subscribe, a like, and I will be back with another video soon.